we would like to review the focus questions in Topic 2, Microscopic World 1. The first question we would like to talk about is the question test for your knowledge about ionic compounds. In this question, it tests for your knowledge of common ions, for example, dichromic ions, and also its color. In second question, part A, we are asked to draw the three-dimensional structure of the molecule. In both cases, we have to consider the central atom first, boron, nitrogen. And then we have to consider the number of bonding pairs and lone pairs. For example, in boron trifluoride, there are only 3 bond pairs. That's why the geometry is trigonoplanar. In second case, there are 3 bond pairs, but also 1 lone pair. That's why the geometry is pyramidal. Part B, we are asked whether the molecule is polar. The idea we usually consider is to consider whether the polar bonds are symmetrically arranged or not. Part C, we are asked to describe the dative bond and how the 2 molecules can form dative bond between themselves. Next question is a question about diamond and graphite. Part A, we should read the keywords carefully. Explain, in terms of bonding and structure, why they have different electrical conductivity. It means before we explain the difference in electrical conductivity, we have to state clearly the difference in the bonding and structure between diamond and graphite. And then if we go further parts, part C and part D. In part C, we are asked for the difference in electrical conductivity between graphite and carbon-60. This question tests for your knowledge in chapter 27, particularly the presence of the localized electrons which are hinder their movement in the C60 molecule. That's why C60 cannot conduct electricity. Part D, even you cannot find the explanation why C60 can be used as a lubricant, but you may consider the structure of graphite, because graphite can be used as lubricant. Similarly, if you refer to the marking scheme, you can see that we may use the concept molecules in C60 can slide easily over each other as the explanation. Next question. Part A, electronic arrangement of selenium. We should keep in mind in the third electron shell, it can carry up to 18 electrons. And then after you put 2H18, the number of outermost shell electrons can be calculated by subtracting 2H18 from 34. Part D. suggests a method to deduce whether G is an ionic compound or a covalent compound. However, the marking scheme is not accurate enough because, for example, hydrogen chloride, which is also a covalent compound, it dissolves in water and ionizes to give hydrogen ions and chloride ions, which help to conduct electricity. That's why, for part D, I would recommend to consider melting the compound G at a very high temperature and measure the electrical conductivity. Because in case of a covalent compound, even you melt the molecules in a covalent compound, it cannot conduct electricity because of the absence of mobile ions or free electrons. The last question. In this question, it tests for your recognition of the substance adopting these three structures. You can find this in your textbook, chapter 9. What you are reminded is the keywords we use carefully in answering the question. For example, part B, identify particles M and N. If you refer to the marking scheme, we should say carefully, oxygen atom, bromine ion. You can't only say oxygen and bromine. You should specify the type of particles. Similarly, in part D, we should use the keywords carefully, such as molecules held by weak van der Waals force, atoms in giant covalent structure are linked by strong covalent bonds. Finally, part F. You can find similar structure in chapter 9, but you cannot find the explanation why sodium bromide and cesium bromide have different packing of ions. The answer is very simple. You may just say the size of sodium ion is much smaller than cesium ion. That's why the arrangement or the packing of ions will be different. You don't need to state the number of ions surrounding the other unless you are told to do so. That's the end of the review of the focus question in topic 2.